Although there's no number in the title, everybody knows Star Trek Insurrection is the 9th one, an odd-numbered film. In 1998, Star Trek Insurrection wanted to build on the success of First Contact, but at the same time not be an out-and-out action film. Jonathan Frakes returned to the director's chair to bring life to a story by Trek producer Rick Berman and former TNG head writer Michael Piller. The temptation to repeat the successful formula of First Contact must have been strong. Instead, what we got was a film that asked a question about the greater good. How many people must be affected by expediency before it's considered wrong?
50,000. 1 million.
Hidden in a difficult-to-traverse area of space known as the Briar Patch is a planet with a single idyllic village inhabited by the remarkably Aryan Baku. Unbeknownst to the Baku, they are being viewed by a camouflaged group of Federation observers in league with some crazy cats called the Sonar. Unbeknownst as a word has almost no other use in modern English except when people summarize plots. Unbeknownst to the observers, Data has gone batshit loco and revealed himself and the observers to the Baku. Unbeknownst to Captain Picard on board the Enterprise, Data is now being hunted by the head of the expedition, Starfleet Admiral Dougherty. Picard sets the Enterprise on a course through the Briar Patch to catch up with Data before Dougherty and the Sonar destroy him. Worf, who just happened to be visiting from Deep Space Nine, talk about Michael Dorn having a bet each way, assists Captain Picard in recapturing Data through the medium of light opera. Worf is such a trooper at this difficult time. Once safely on board the Enterprise, Data de-unbeknownst Picard and company. Picard decides to investigate the Baku himself against Dougherty's wishes to de-unbeknownst for himself, and finds himself falling in love with Anij. Before the Nookie, they uncover a plot by Dougherty and the Sonar leader Ruafo to illicitly transport the Baku on board a holographic colony ship to another planet so that the remarkable regenerative properties of the Baku homeworld can be exploited. Unbeknownst to pretty much everyone, the Sonar, with their gruesome surgical methods of prolonging their lives, are actually Baku emigrants. This film is chock full of unbeknownsting. Picard, determined to put things right, decides to take matters into his own hands, and he and his staff go rogue in the mildest insurrection committed to celluloid since that time Arnold Jackson told Mr. Drummond to f*** off.
Saddle up. Lock and load.
Insurrection, despite being an odd-numbered film, is not a terrible film, but it is a lesser film when compared to the brilliant First Contact, and often seen as a story that would have made a great two-part TV episode, but not necessarily a great feature film. That's an assessment that's not entirely unjustified, but it's still not in any way a bad film. From his earliest days on The Next Generation, Patrick Stewart was not shy about his desire to see Picard fight and f*** more, and he finally gets to do both, we assume, in what is to date the only Star Trek movie with a strong romantic element. The story is about feeling young again, with Data experiencing what it's like to be a kid and play with friends. Geordie's eyes grow back so he can finally see a sunset without Instagram filters. Worf gets a zit. He's such a trooper. And Riker and Troi get it on. Crush is there as well, I'm told. By this time, we'd more or less forgotten about Troi and Worf's hooking up from the last year of The Next Generation, unfortunately known by shippers as Trorf. We'd also mostly ignore in these movies that while events are happening, Worf was still a cast member of Deep Space Nine, which at the time was not only in the middle of a costly war between the Federation and the Dominion, which is mentioned in passing a few times in this film, but Worf had also recently become a widower. Apparently that's unbeknownst to everyone, since not a single person mentions it. Paramount, being such a parsimonious lot when it comes to Trek, liked to save money wherever possible, and one such cost-cutting method was to reuse costumes from the Love Boat as the new Starfleet dress uniforms. Bald captains in both shows, yeah, that makes sense. And just what does Crusher smell when they beam down? Did Troi let out a crafty fart on the transporter pad in the hopes that the smell would somehow dissipate before they beam down? The Troi manoeuvre goes thus. Step onto the transporter pad with a fart locked and loaded and ready to go. Wait until someone says energize and then let rip.
Energizing.
In theory, the sound of any audible fart will only be heard by that transporter chief, and the away team will normally be none the wiser. Transporter chiefs can be usually counted on for their discretion if you give them a bottle of scotch at Christmas time. Besides that, they see a lot worse shit going down on transporter pads than Troi venting plasma. I mean, you don't want to know what the LaForge manoeuvre entails. Anyway, it seems as though Troi's timing was a bit off here, and some of the smell seems to have wafted into the transporter beam, a fact detected by Crusher's attempt to not let on that she can smell it, but oh god was that some rank fish the replicators were serving last night. The answer will forever be unbeknownst to us. Unbeknownst to producers, the film would do only so-so business at the box office, so the next film would need to pull out all the stops. Fans looked forward to the 10th film in the series, one that they believed would be a glorious, even-numbered triumph. Unbeknownst to fans, that film would end up being Star Trek Nemesis. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.